Higher demand for power as people keep the heating switched on. There are now fears that supplies of gas could run short. Our business correspondent Richard Bond is with me now. Richard, how much is demand for gas up by?
Demand's up by about a third on what you'd normally expect at this time of year, and that's because, as you say, householders are turning up the heat.
And how much of that gas do we actually need to buy from abroad?
About half now. We used to be totally self-sufficient in gas, but our North Sea reserves are being depleted, so we're having to buy more and more from abroad.
And is that a problem? Is it going to be a problem?
Well, potentially, yes, but I think we're a long way from a gas crisis now. There was a problem earlier this week because our supplies from Norway were interrupted, and that caused a warning to go out to heavy industrial users of gas. But since then, the problem's been sorted out, and there's plenty of gas now back into the UK system. And a lot of credit for that goes to the Bacton gas terminal in North Norfolk. It's got a couple of big pipelines coming in there from the continent, bringing gas from Norway, from Russia, from Holland, and that throughput of one of those pipelines, the interconnector, has doubled just since Monday. So if we hadn't put in the investment to build those pipelines over the last 15 years, we would be in a bit of a pickle now.
Well, that's good news. Thank you very much, Richard. As we've seen in the past few days, the wintry weather causes its fair share of problems, but it also encourages people to pitch in and help each other.
Well, today the snow led to the closure of the port of Felixstowe in Suffolk, and that sparked a touch of the Dunkirk spirit. Let's go live to Suffolk now, and Mike Liggins, who looks like he's in the right place to be.
Yeah, that's right, Jonathan. We've taken refuge in the Fox Pub in the village of Newbourne, not far from Ipswich. Fair to say that actually when the weather is bad, then communities do come together. Here are some of the locals, and the way you can tell that they're locals is because they got funny hats on. Now, we spent most of the day at Felixstowe with the truckers, and it is fair to say as well that they have made the best of a bad job. This is Operation Stack, just outside Felixstowe. With the port closed, the lorries are stacked up on the old A14. What's your name?
Daz.
Daz! How are you, Daz?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
It's quite comfy in here, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
The lorry drivers, like
Absolutely
Daz from Boston in Lincolnshire, simply have to sit and wait.
You get stuck on motorways in traffic, or you get stuck down the dock because of the ice.
So if we get stuck tonight, Daz, would we be all right coming round here?
Yeah, I'm sure somebody will let you sleep in the cab.
No, I meant you and me bunked up together. Would that be all right?
Well, yeah, if you don't snore.
At Felixstowe Port, very little is moving. Normally, they shift around 4,000 containers a day here, but not today.
Well, we're operating on a sort of restricted level at the moment. It's because of the snow. It's the crane drivers, our yard crane drivers, can't see the lines properly, so they can't navigate and they can't place the containers where they need to go. So that affects our ability to work both haulage and the ships currently.
To tell you the truth, we were praying for snow, and eventually we get it. It's 10 to 2 and it has actually just started snowing pretty bad. Let's face it, not everyone likes snow. It can be horribly inconvenient, but it can also be magical too. And for a time, the beach at Felixstowe is a magical place to be. Well, we thought we'd come outside just to prove how cold and snowy it really was. Look at the pub with the candle. How cosy does it look in there? And by the way, that stack, last time I checked at about 5:30, the stack was still there, so they could be there all night. Let's have a word with the landlord, Steve. So it's kind of mainly locals in tonight then?
Very much so. We'd normally draw a trade in from the villages and towns surrounding, but this evening's very much local trade, yeah, definitely.
And how long will they be able to stay there? Will you be able to lock them in for a while?
We'll be doing our best to keep them here as long as possible, obviously. Yeah,
Within the legal limits?
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, well, have a good night, Steve.
Thank you.
And from Newbourne in Suffolk, back to you in the studio. Hope it's warm.
Thanks, Mike. You should get a coat on, or at least get back inside.
Right, so let's find out the all-important weather news now. Julie's.
I wish I was in that pub. I wish. Well, let's start with the radar sequence there.
We have, yes. Thank you to all of you who have sent in photos. We're going to leave you tonight with a montage of the good side of the
some
snow.
good ones.
That's all from us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Next up, will film director Michael Winner live up to his name?